When most travelers think of China, they imagine the Great Wall, the Forbidden City, or the glowing skyline of Shanghai. But far beyond the noise and the flash, there are hidden landscapes where history sleeps beneath moss and mist. In these forgotten spaces, you can still feel the pulse of an older world, where mountains hum softly in the distance and the air tastes of rain and memory. Here, in these secret places, every stone and shadow feels alive, as if waiting for someone who truly listens. This journey is not about ticking boxes or chasing photographs. It's about slowing down, letting the silence stretch, and discovering what lies beneath the surface of a country that is older than time itself. Deep in the remote corners of Yunnan province lies a valley so lush and surreal, it seems carved from a painter's imagination. The Yunnan Rice Terraces. Spanning over 40,000 hectares, these terraces ripple down the Ailao Mountains like an endless cascade of glass mirrors. Each curve reflects the sky in shades of silver and fire, changing color with the hours. At dawn, clouds roll gently between the steps, wrapping the valley in mist. By evening, the terraces glow gold, then fade into deep violet as the sun sinks. Created by the Hani people more than 1,300 years ago, this living sculpture of water and earth still feeds generations who work it by hand. The air carries the scent of soil and smoke from distant hearths, and the sound of water trickling through bamboo channels echoes like a lullaby. Standing there, you realize it's not just a landscape, it's a living heart that has never stopped beating. If you travel north, where the mountains begin to rise like frozen waves, you'll find a lake so quiet and perfect it feels like a secret between heaven and earth. Lugu Lake. Straddling the border between Yunnan and Sichuan, this sapphire body of water lies over 2,600 meters above sea level. Locals call it the Mother Lake, and legend says it was born from the tears of a goddess. The Mosuo people who live here follow one of the world's last matrilineal cultures, where women lead families, and love is free of possession. Every morning, sunlight spreads across the lake like liquid gold, revealing floating wooden boats gliding silently through the mist. On the far shore, islands drift in stillness, each holding ancient shrines hidden among cypress trees. At night, stars fall so close they shimmer on the water's surface. In that silence, time seems to fold, and you feel as though you are watching the first dawn of the world. Further east, past the deep green forests and winding rivers, lies a wonder few ever see, the Zhangyi Dainsha landform. Here, the mountains look as though 1,000 artists spilled their paints across the earth. Stripes of crimson, orange, and gold stretch endlessly across the ridges, sculpted by wind and rain over 24 million years. The rock formations rise like waves frozen in motion, bending and folding into impossible shapes. Under the sun, they blaze with color. Under clouds, they fade into melancholy tones of rust and rose. Scientists call it a masterpiece of geological evolution, but locals believe the mountains are the remnants of celestial dragons who once danced here. The air smells faintly of dust and iron, and when the wind passes through the canyons, it sings, a low, haunting tone that feels almost human. It's hard not to believe that the land itself remembers. But China's beauty doesn't only live in color, sometimes it hides in shadow. Deep within the Guangxi region, the Reed Flute Cave glows with otherworldly light. Inside, stalactites and stalagmites twist into shapes that seem alive, some like dripping curtains, others like frozen waterfalls. For nearly 1,200 years, poets and travelers have carved their names into the limestone walls, leaving whispers of their wonder behind. The cave's natural formations shimmer with minerals that reflect every beam of light, creating an unearthly palette of blue and emerald. When you walk through it, your footsteps echo, as if time itself were responding. Above you, the ceiling glows faintly, as though the stars have descended underground. It's said that ancient scholars once came here to meditate, believing that the cave held the breath of the earth, a rhythm that could awaken clarity in the human heart. Far away, in Sichuan, where the clouds cling to the mountains like drifting silk, lies Mount Ame, one of China's 4 sacred Buddhist peaks. The journey to its summit is not an easy one. You climb through forests of whispering bamboo, past ancient monasteries wrapped in mist, hearing distant bells fade in and out like memories. At the top, the world seems to dissolve into light. Sea after sea of clouds stretch below, and the golden statue of Samantabhadra, standing 48 meters tall, glows like dawn itself. Pilgrims come here not only to see but to feel, to breathe in the silence that surrounds the temples. Monkeys watch curiously from the trees, their eyes reflecting the sky. And as the sun breaks through the fog, turning everything into a haze of fire and silver, you realize this is not just a mountain, it's a bridge between heaven and earth. Every hidden place in China holds its own rhythm, its own secret heartbeat. From the terraced mountains to the sacred peaks, from lakes that mirror the stars, to caves that whisper in the dark, they remind us that wonder still lives quietly, waiting to be seen. This is only the beginning of the journey. Ahead lie deeper mysteries, more forgotten sanctuaries carved by time and patience. And as we move forward, the world will unfold one hidden wonder at a time, revealing stories that few have ever heard. Until now, there is a place in southern China where the air itself feels ancient, where stone seems to breathe and rivers hum softly through valleys that have never known silence. This is Wuling Yuan, a labyrinth of sandstone pillars hidden within Hunan province. Over 3,000 towering spires rise from the mist, each sculpted by wind and rain over millions of years. Some stretch more than 600 feet into the sky, so slender that they seem to defy gravity. When dawn breaks, fog flows through the forest like a living tide, wrapping the pillars in drifting silver. Locals say that each column carries a soul of the mountain, and if you listen long enough, you can hear the murmurs of ancestors within the wind. Wuling Yuan inspired the floating peaks of Pandora in Avatar, but standing here, reality feels far more surreal than any imagined world. The light shifts constantly, one moment revealing the green tips of pine trees clinging to impossible cliffs, the next fading into soft shadow where everything feels suspended between dream and truth. North of here, hidden within the folds of Guizhou province, lies a place where water falls from the heavens with the voice of thunder, Huangguoshu Waterfall. It is one of the largest waterfalls in Asia, plunging more than 250 feet from a limestone cliff into a roaring jade basin below. From afar, it looks like a long white ribbon unraveling in slow motion. Up close, it consumes every sound. A fine mist fills the air, carrying the scent of wet stone and moss. Behind the curtain of falling water, a secret cave waits, the Water Curtain Cave, where you can stand and watch the world through a shifting wall of liquid light. Inside, every drop echoes like a distant heartbeat. According to legend, this cave once inspired the ancient story of the Monkey King, who trained under the roar of the falls to harness his strength. Even now, the place feels charged, almost alive, as if the mountain remembers the myth it gave birth to. Far to the west, beyond dusty plains and endless winds, lies one of China's most extraordinary hidden treasures, the Kanas Lake in Xinjiang. Nestled deep within the Altai Mountains, this turquoise lake changes color with the seasons, sometimes jade green, sometimes sapphire blue, and sometimes pale gray like polished silver. The forests surrounding it are dense and unspoiled, their autumn leaves burning in gold and crimson, as if the land itself were on fire. Mist drifts lazily across the surface, and in the mornings the water is so still, it reflects the clouds like glass. Locals tell of a mysterious creature said to dwell beneath the lake's surface, a legend whispered for centuries. Scientists say the lake's shape and currents create unusual wave patterns, but the locals still insist that something ancient moves in the deep. Standing on the shore, it's easy to believe them. The silence feels sentient, and every ripple carries the weight of unseen eyes watching from below. In the far reaches of Tibet, where the air grows thin and sacred chants echo through the valleys, rises one of the most mysterious mountains on earth, Mount Kailash. Its summit has never been climbed, not because it is too tall, but because it is too holy. To Buddhists, Hindus, and followers of Bon, Kailash is the axis of the world, the center where heaven and earth meet. Pilgrims journey thousands of miles to circle its base, a ritual believed to cleanse a lifetime of sins. The mountain itself stands nearly 22,000 feet high, its perfect pyramidal shape gleaming with ice that never melts. When the sun strikes its face, light scatters into a halo that seems almost divine. The wind here carries no ordinary sound. It hums like the voice of something eternal. Around it, lakes shimmer in impossible colors. Manasarovar, clear as crystal, and Rakshastal, dark and restless like a mirror of night. Together, they reflect the balance of creation and destruction, calm and chaos, in endless silence. Journeying back east, deep within Fujian province, the earth hides a different kind of wonder, one built by human hands, yet born of the same patience as mountains. These are the Tulu, ancient circular earthen houses that rise from the misty hillsides like forgotten fortresses. Each Tulu can shelter hundreds of people within thick mud walls that stay cool in summer and warm in winter. From above, they resemble giant coins resting in green valleys, surrounded by bamboo and terraced rice fields. Inside, families live as they have for centuries, sharing meals, stories, and the slow rhythm of rural life. Many of these structures date back to the 12th century, and though time has passed, the sense of community inside them feels untouched. When rain falls, the sound on the earthen roofs echoes softly through the corridors, and lanterns glow warm in the dim light. The Tulu are living circles, architecture designed not just for shelter, but for belonging. And then there is Jujai-go, a valley so surreal that even photographs fail to capture its stillness. Hidden in the mountains of northern Sichuan, Jujai-go means Valley of Nine Villages, named after the small Tibetan settlements scattered among its lakes and waterfalls. The water here is impossibly clear, glowing turquoise and emerald, so transparent that you can see fallen trees preserved beneath the surface like ancient sculptures. During autumn, the forests burn in red and gold, mirrored perfectly on the glassy lakes, making it hard to tell where earth ends and reflection begins. Snow dusts the peaks in the distance, and the sound of waterfalls flows gently between the trees. Scientists say the valley's beauty comes from high concentrations of calcium carbonate, which refracts light in unusual ways. But standing there, surrounded by silence and color, it feels more like the valley itself is dreaming. You walk slowly, afraid to disturb the peace, every step echoing softly, every breath a prayer. The road through hidden China winds endlessly, through mist and stone, myth and silence. Yet the further you go, the more you realize that these places aren't just remote landscapes. They are reflections of something deeper. They remind us that wonder still exists, that mystery still has a home. And as the journey continues, more secrets wait beyond the horizon, waiting to be found, waiting to be remembered. Beyond the veil of mist and mountains, where the rivers begin to twist like threads of glass, lies a place almost too delicate to believe: the Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge. Suspended 980 feet above the canyon floor, it stretches for nearly 1,400 feet across two sandstone cliffs within the Zhangjiajie Grand Canyon. Below it, 1,000 feet of open air yawns into green valleys and distant waterfalls that fall like ribbons from unseen heights. The bridge itself seems invisible from a distance, as if travelers are walking on nothing but wind. When the sunlight hits the glass panels, they shimmer with reflections of sky and stone, creating the illusion of floating through clouds. Engineers designed the bridge to sway gently, a reminder of both nature's power and human fragility. Standing in the middle, the air trembles softly around you, and for a moment, your heartbeat syncs with the rhythm of the earth below. People who come here often fall silent, overwhelmed not by fear, but by the surreal beauty of standing between worlds, sky above, eternity below. North of the bridge, hidden deep within Gansu province, sits a secret carved into the heart of the desert, the Mogao Caves. These are not ordinary caves, but a 1,000-year archive of human devotion and art. Dug into the cliffs near Dunhuang, they house nearly 500 temples filled with murals, sculptures and scriptures dating back to the 4th century. Inside, the air is cool and still, scented faintly with dust and incense. Thousands of painted Buddhas gaze from the walls, their colors preserved by the desert's dry breath. Every brushstroke tells a story of trade, faith, and the silent movement of cultures along the Silk Road. Light filters in from cracks in the stone, illuminating fragments of gold leaf that shimmer like stars. Many of the caves are closed to protect their fragile beauty, but for those who stand within one, it feels as though the world outside no longer exists. Time here does not pass. It gathers, layer upon layer, until past and present become the same. In the far reaches of Inner Mongolia, the land opens into an ocean of grass, the Hulunbuir grasslands, stretching endlessly to the horizon. Waves of green roll beneath a sky so vast it seems to swallow the earth. Horses gallop freely across the plains, their hooves thundering like drums of ancient tribes. In summer, wildflowers bloom in 1,000 colors, and herders move with the rhythm of the seasons, guiding flocks beneath drifting clouds. The air tastes of wind and freedom. Nights here are cold and boundless, filled with constellations so bright that even the shadows shimmer. Around campfires, you can still hear the old songs of the steppe, melodies that tell of warriors, lovers, and the spirits of the land. When morning comes, dew clings to the grass like tiny jewels, and the entire plain glows under the rising sun. There is a silence here that feels alive, not emptiness, but peace, the kind that makes you remember how big the world truly is. Far south, hidden deep in Guangxi province, the Li River winds through karst mountains that rise straight from the water like emerald teeth. Each peak carries a name shaped by imagination: the Painted Hill, the Carp's Tail, the Elephant Trunk. The river itself is a moving mirror, reflecting 1,000 shades of green and blue. Fishermen here still use cormorant birds to catch fish, guiding them by lantern light at dusk. As the sun sets, the river glows softly, and the silhouettes of the fishermen drift like shadows of a forgotten age. Mist lingers over the water long after dawn, curling around the limestone cliffs, turning the world into a painting that seems half dream, half memory. It's said that the Li River scenery appears on China's 20 yuan note, a quiet tribute to its timeless grace. But being here in person feels like stepping into a world that was never meant to be found. In a small hidden corner of Jiangxi province lies something entirely different: the Weiwen countryside. Here spring paints the valleys with endless waves of yellow rapeseed flowers, flowing between whitewashed villages with black-tiled roofs. The architecture is ancient, the alleys narrow, the air thick with the scent of blossoms and wood smoke. Early morning fog rises between the hills, turning the fields into an ocean of drifting gold. Old bridges arch over quiet streams, and farmers walk slowly through the mist, their figures fading into the light. The villages, places like Likeng, Wangkou, and Shaoqi, have remained nearly unchanged for centuries. Each one tells a story of family, endurance, and harmony with the land. In the evenings, when the sun sinks and the sky glows amber, the sound of crickets fills the fields. It's a world of calm persistence, where beauty does not shout, but whispers softly to those who take the time to listen. And then, hidden deep within Yunnan's borders, beyond narrow paths and quiet rivers, lies the ancient town of Shashi, once a vital stop on the old Tea-Horse Road. Here, cobblestone streets wind through time-worn buildings of clay and wood. Horses still clip-clop through the central square, and the smell of roasted tea and pine wood drifts through the air. For centuries, caravans passed through this town, carrying tea, salt, and silk between Tibet and Southeast Asia. Today, Shashi feels untouched by the rush of the modern world. The old Bai architecture glows warm under the sun, and in the evenings, oil lamps flicker in doorways, casting golden light on weathered walls. Travelers often say it feels like walking into a dream, a place where the rhythm of life has not changed in 1,000 years. Here, history is not a story written down. It's a feeling that breathes in every stone. The road through unseen China is endless, winding through peaks and valleys, through human hands and the slow work of nature. Every step reveals another secret, not loud or grand, but quietly perfect. These are places where time slows, where wonder doesn't shout but hums softly beneath the surface of the world. And still, beyond these, more mysteries call, deeper, older, waiting in silence for those who dare to keep walking. In the remote province of Qinghai, there lies a place so still that sound itself seems to hesitate. Qinghai Lake. It is China's largest inland lake, stretching across 1,500 square miles, resting quietly at an elevation of over 10,000 feet. The water glows a soft turquoise, changing its hue with the shifting light of day. Around it, endless meadows ripple with wildflowers, and distant mountains frame the horizon in a silver-blue haze. Migratory birds flock here from as far away as Siberia, their wings cutting slow arcs through the sky. The air carries a faint chill, tinged with salt and wind. Locals call it the blue sea of the plateau. There is no sound of engines, no hum of cities, only the steady rhythm of waves against the shore and the whisper of the grass. Monks from nearby temples sometimes walk to the water's edge to meditate, their orange robes bright against the cold wind. They say the lake mirrors not the sky, but the soul of whoever looks upon it. To the south, tucked between the borders of Tibet and Sichuan, lies a place that feels like a secret kept by the mountains, Yading Nature Reserve. Known as the last Shangri-La, it is one of the most untouched landscapes left on Earth. 3 snow-capped peaks rise into the clouds, each considered sacred by Tibetan Buddhists: Chenrezig, Chana Dorje, and Jampliang. Their summits gleam white even under a cloudy sky, and glaciers stretch down their flanks like frozen rivers of time. Between them lie lakes of impossible color: Milk Lake, clear and turquoise as glass, and Five Color Lake, shimmering like liquid crystal. The air here is thin, carrying the scent of pine and frost. Pilgrims walk around the sacred peaks in silent reverence, a journey of days that many describe as life-changing. When the sun sets, the mountains glow faintly pink and a deep silence descends, so profound it feels almost sacred. In that stillness, you can hear the faint hum of the earth itself, ancient and eternal. Further east, beyond rivers that twist like jade ribbons through limestone hills, you reach a world that seems carved from imagination: the Gilin Karst region. These are the mountains that Chinese painters have tried to capture for centuries. Their peaks sharp and elegant, their reflections trembling in the Li and Yulong rivers below. The air smells of wet bamboo and rain. On misty mornings, farmers paddle small rafts made of woven bamboo, gliding silently through a gray-green dream. The landscape feels alive, breathing with every curl of fog that rises from the water. Hidden caves lie within these hills, some containing underground rivers that disappear into darkness, their walls glittering faintly with crystal formations. Travelers who come here often describe a strange sense of nostalgia, a feeling that they've seen this place before, in an old painting or a memory too distant to name. Gilin is not just a view, it's a feeling, one that lingers long after you leave. Deep within the forests of Zhejiang province, hidden behind narrow mountain roads, lies a village nearly swallowed by nature: the abandoned fishing village of Haotuan. Once home to hundreds of families, it was left behind decades ago when the younger generation moved inland. Now, ivy and wild vines have reclaimed every wall and roof, turning the stone houses into green sculptures. The sea glitters in the distance, and the sound of waves drifts softly through the empty streets. Every window frames a view of leaves and light, Birds nest where once there were lamps, and tree roots push gently through the old doorways. It feels peaceful, but also humbling, a reminder of how quietly nature can take back what humans leave behind. On sunny days, the village looks almost unreal, a mosaic of emerald tones and shadows. It's easy to imagine the laughter that once filled these paths, now replaced by the whisper of wind through grass. In Hotuwan, time doesn't end, it simply changes form. Southwest of here, the mountains open once again to reveal a wonder sculpted by both earth and time. The stone forest of Shilin, located in Yunnan province. Giant limestone towers rise from the ground like blades of stone, some reaching over 100 feet high. They were formed more than 270 million years ago, shaped by the slow work of water and wind. Walking through them feels like stepping into another world, a maze of jagged spires and narrow paths that twist in unpredictable directions. Some rocks resemble trees, others animals, or faces frozen in mid-breath. When rain falls, it echoes sharply between the pillars, creating an eerie melodic sound that locals call the Song of the Stones. The Sani people, who have lived here for centuries, believe the forest was once a petrified army turned to stone by the gods. At sunset, the rocks glow orange and red, their long shadows stretching like fingers across the earth. It is both beautiful and haunting, a place where myth and geology meet in perfect balance. And in the depths of the southern coast, in a land of rivers and shimmering wetlands, lies a sanctuary of pure stillness, the Shapu mudflats in Fujian. Every morning, as the tide retreats, a vast silver plain emerges, dotted with wooden poles and nets used by local fishermen. The water reflects the sky like a mirror, and the figures of the fishermen move slowly across the shining surface, creating scenes that look like living calligraphy. Seaweed farmers wade knee-deep, gathering their harvest by hand. The air carries the salty scent of the sea and the sound of distant gulls. As the sun rises, the entire landscape glows gold, the wet sand turning to fire under the light. At dusk, the same scene transforms into soft blue, the world quiet and infinite. Few travelers ever find this place, yet photographers who have been here say it's like watching the earth breathe, a pulse of tide and time, steady and eternal. The hidden wonders of China do not shout for attention, they whisper. Some are carved by the patient hands of nature, others by the enduring hearts of those who once called them home. Together they form a tapestry of mystery, beauty, and silence. And as the journey continues, you begin to understand that these places are not just destinations, they are stories the world almost forgot to tell. There comes a moment, after miles of mountains and rivers, when the noise of the world begins to fade, and all that remains is the quiet echo of your own breath. Standing somewhere deep in China's endless heart, surrounded by mist and memory, you begin to realize that this journey was never only about discovering new places, it was about remembering something ancient within yourself, that instinct to listen, to see, to be still. From the terraces of Yuanyang to the silent peaks of Yading, from forgotten villages covered in ivy to sacred lakes that hold the sky, every step has been a return to what endures when the world stops rushing. These places are not meant to be conquered or checked off a list. They are meant to be felt, slowly, deeply, in the spaces between words. When you stand beside the water in Jiuzhaigou, or gaze across Qinghai's endless blue, the air carries something unspoken, a reminder that beauty does not exist for us, it simply is. The lakes will continue to shimmer long after we are gone. The wind will keep reshaping the dunes, carving new stories into the earth. The people who live quietly among these wonders, monks who walk barefoot through the mist, fishermen who rise before dawn, farmers who plant the same fields their ancestors did. They understand what most of us forget, that the rhythm of the world does not need to be hurried. In their stillness, there is wisdom. In their silence, a kind of truth. Perhaps that is the real secret China hides so well. Beneath the skyscrapers and noise, beyond the highways and neon lights, there are still places that refuse to change. Villages where the sound of water replaces traffic, valleys where clouds drift lower than the rooftops, temples where a single candle has been burning for centuries. These are the lungs of the world, the quiet spaces that allow the rest of it to breathe. To visit them is not just to see, but to remember, and once you do, something inside you changes, slowly, like dawn creeping over a mountain ridge. The road that winds through these hidden sanctuaries is not a straight one. It twists through time, through myth, through the soft space between what is real and what feels eternal. Somewhere between the glass lakes of Tibet and the stone forests of Yunnan, you stop being a visitor and become part of the landscape, another flicker of life passing gently through its story. You start to understand that the world doesn't belong to us. We belong to it, and that realization, quiet and profound, feels like coming home. So when you leave these hidden wonders behind, when the mist closes over the valleys and the last echoes fade into silence, carry a piece of it with you. Let it remind you to walk slower, to look closer, to listen longer. Because the earth still has secrets and they are not hidden out of reach, only waiting for those patient enough to find them. The greatest journeys are not measured in distance, but in the moments when we finally see what's been before us all along. And maybe one day, when you stand somewhere new and feel that same hush in the air, you'll remember these places, the terraces that breathe with the wind, the lakes that hold the stars, the mountains that dream in silence. You'll remember that wonder never truly ends. It only changes shape. The world is vast, mysterious and alive, and every step we take, if we move slowly enough, brings us closer to it. Until then, let the echoes of these secret places stay with you, quiet, endless, and eternal.